Hello and welcome to Miniature Adventures. I'm Big Lee and this week I want to discuss why you should never paint your last miniature. Alright folks, gather round because today we're going to talk about one of the greatest mysteries of the hobby universe. No, not whether super glue bonds skin faster than metal, and no, not why paint pots from certain companies seem to dry out the moment you look at them. I'm talking about the great, unstoppable, irresistible force of nature that strikes every single wargamer and miniature painter at least once in their hobby life. So today I want to discuss the medical phenomenon known as Shinyitus and why it may just save your life. Yes, the dreaded condition where you see a new box of figures or a new army release and your brain immediately goes, well, clearly I need that. My collection will be incomplete without it. My gaming group won't respect me. The hobby gods will frown upon me. And anyway, look, it's got a banner with skulls on it. Suddenly, you've bought 3 boxes, you've justified it to yourself in the car park, and by the time you got home, they're already being carefully stored away in that mysterious cupboard of unpainted dreams we like to call the lead mountain. I've had a long and noble history with the lead mountain. In fact, I could probably at one point have built a small annex onto my house out of pewter. Once upon a time, many moons ago, I owned a lead mountain so big it was practically a lead Himalaya. I had boxes of figures stretching all the way back to my early days of Wargamer Fantasy Battle and a dozen different historical periods in the years that followed. You name it, I probably had it. Did I paint them all? No, of course I didn't. Don't be ridiculous. I painted enough to keep my players impressed and to make my games look good. But 2/3 of the horde never saw much as a splash of primer. They lived their lives in quiet darkness, occasionally rattling in the box like ghosts of abandoned campaigns. When I was in my Warhammer Fantasy Battle phase, I think I had enough models to field 3 versions of one army. Now before you imagine me turning up with 3 balanced, carefully thought out forces, let me stop you right there. They were all the same army because obviously if you're going to collect something you might as well go all in. 1 is fun, 2 is sensible, but 3 versions of the same army are absolutely essential surely. But here's the thing, no matter what system I was into, no matter how disciplined I told myself I was going to be, I always ended up overbuying. I never stopped at just enough to play the game. No. That would be far too rational. Instead, I went down the well-trodden path of, but what if I want to play this scenario? What if I want to try a different unit composition? What if my mate suddenly challenges me to a battle of epic proportions and I need to field exactly 17 cavalry units? It's that what-if logic that every gamer knows too well. We dress it up as being prepared, we call it versatility, but deep down we know the truth. It's the Shinyitus whispering in our ears. So, has self-awareness and maturity reduced my tendency to overpurchase? Of course not. Half my existing lead mounting consists of spare models from supposedly complete projects, and I know I'm not alone. Oh no, this isn't just me, this is an international epidemic. Across the world, in lofts and basements and garages, in cupboards under stairs, in storage boxes under beds, there are mountains of metal and plastic so vast that if you gathered it all together you could probably sink a warship. Oh, you could probably build a new one out of hot pewter, to be honest. Now, in recent years, I have tried to change my ways. I've stared into the abyss of my collection and decided that maybe, just maybe, it was time to do something drastic. I mean, there comes a point when you look at your lead mountain and you realise that statistically speaking, you're never going to finish painting it all, even if you live to be 100 and give up sleeping. So a few years back, I did undertake what can only be described as a bit of a purge. So I sold some figures, I gave others away, I even put aside a bunch for my kids to paint because frankly there's no better way of dealing with surplus miniatures than passing them on to the next generation and calling it a teaching experience. 1 box at a time my mountain shrank. For the first time in decades I could actually see the bottom of some of my storage containers. It was liberating and terrifying in equal measure. Now don't get me wrong, I didn't wipe it all out. I mean, that would be silly. That would be dangerous. Because here's the thing every veteran hobbyist knows. The rule that is whispered in hushed tones at conventions and passed down like forbidden law. You must never, ever paint your last miniature. The moment you do, that's it. Let's face it, many of us aren't the healthiest of specimens, and it's only that massive backlog of miniatures waiting to be painted that keeps us going. If you paint your last miniature, I'm pretty sure we'd keel over and expire on the spot. So yes, my lead mounting is smaller, manageable even, but not too small. I'm not completely stupid. I'm well aware that if I don't top the mounting up from time to time, if I let it dwindle too far, I can accidentally finish it. And there where would we be? If that single act of recklessness didn't kill me on the spot, then surely civilization as we know it would crumble. Best not to risk it. Which is why whenever I head to a show like Partizan or many of the little ones that I go with a clear mission, not to resist temptation, not to stand firm against the siren call of the trade stands. No, I go with the burning determination to buy. Because let's face it, if you leave a show like Partizan empty-handed, or you're even a wargamer, failure to buy more miniatures is surely the very definition of living dangerously. And frankly, I'm not that much of a thrill seeker. Now, of course, I tell myself I'll be sensible. I'll only buy a few packs, just a couple of figures here and there to keep the mounting healthy. That's the plan. That's always the plan. And then I'll walk through the door and I'm surrounded by traders and discounts and display tables showing off gorgeous painted armies, and my carefully laid plans have gone straight out of the window. And the worst bit, I can't even rely on my friends to keep me in check because they're also victims of Shinyitus as well. And adding to their own lead mounting, they're egging me on all at the same time. So inevitably, I come home from a typical wargame show with my wallet lighter and my mounting once again refreshed. And when I walk through the door, clutching a suspiciously heavy bag of goodies, I'm faced with the inevitable challenge, explaining it to the family. Now, I could try honesty. I could say, look, I bought more miniatures because I'm weak, because I'm a fool, because I can't resist the siren call of a discounted box set. But no, instead I deploy the time-honoured excuse. I did it for my health. I have to say, I'm not entirely sure that my wife accepts my medical emergency rationale for buying more miniatures. I'm convinced that I've probably extended my life expectancy by at least another 10 years. But she just sees that it makes me happy. The usual response I get involves her rolling her eyes with a slight smile in the corner of her mouth and being sent to my hobby room to unpack and wonder how I came home with so much. Now, if you've listened this far and you're sitting there nodding along, recognising your own habits in this tale, don't worry, you're not alone. We're all in this together. Shinyitus is universal, and the lead mounting, well, it's less of a burden and more of a badge of honour. After all, what kind of hobbyist doesn't have a pile of shame lurking somewhere in the house? The important thing is that we enjoy the hobby, whether we're painting, playing, or just quietly admiring the unopened boxes and telling ourselves that one day, definitely one day, we'll get round to them. So now I want to ask, what form does your Shinyitus take? And do you, like me, know that keeping a healthy mounting of unfinished projects is actually a wargamer survival mechanism? Once again, I'm aware of my own hypocrisy, of course, because earlier this year I did a video on reducing the lead mounting, but the key word here was reduce, not eliminate. That would be foolish in the extreme. As always, I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. So time for a quick hobby update. Yesterday, several members of Posties Rejects and I were at the replay show held at the Royal Engineers Museum in Gillingham. Thanks to the wibbly wobbly nature of YouTube time travel, I filmed this on Thursday before the show took place. I can't yet say how it went, but I fully expect it to have been a fantastic day. It's a fantastic and a superb venue. This time Reject Dan took the lead, running his first ever demo game for a show, Attack on Hill 112, using the rapid fire reloaded rules. The battle for Hill 112 was a brutal contest of determination and firepower. In this scenario, the British 43rd Wessex Infantry Division, backed by the 31st Tank Brigade's Churchills and Crocodile Flamethrowers, must storm the ridge and dislodge a dug-in German Panzergrenadier regiment armed with Nebelwerfers, machine guns and hidden anti-tank weapons. The Hill's command had a commanding view over the Odin and Orne valleys, making it vital ground. Whoever holds it controls the battlefield, and as the British climb through smoke and shell fire, German reinforcements, Panzer IVs and Tiger Is and elements of the Panzergrenadier Regiment 21 are racing to launch a devastating counterattack and reclaim the burning ridge. I'll report more next week on how we got on, and if I haven't already posted pictures from the show, I will do shortly, so keep an eye out for them soon. So before I move on to a Workbench update, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the growing band of channel members, fellow miniature adventurers and stat fellows one and all. Thank you so much for your support. It really is appreciated and very affirming that I'm doing something right here on the channel. So I wanted to end with a brief Workbench update, and after making my views clear on my love of metal miniatures last week, this week I finally started a handful of plastics. So I had a box of Periplastic Russian Ulans, and I recently spent ages swearing and cursing as I constructed just 6 horses and their riders from that set. However, I've combined them with 3 models from the Metal Command set, and they were all primed, and this week I finally started painting them. I still struggle with the lightness of the plastic ones, but there's no denying the quality of the models, even after I mangled them to swap the plastic lances for metal ones. Now, as with all the cavalry for my Retreat from Moscow project, I've started with the horses and I'm slowly working my way up the model. No particular reason why I do it this way, it just feels right. I'll keep you updated on progress, but I have a few other little things on the go at the moment right now, so I'm in no rush and I want to take my time. Besides, not rushing also ensures that I maintain the lead mounting, for the good of my health, of course. So that's it for this week. As always, please join the conversation in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share, and maybe consider becoming a member. And of course, if you want to keep up to date with weekly content from the channel, please tap the bell notification icon. So until next week, stay safe, keep gaming, and of course, keep rolling high.